We are just a few days away from this giant Google Analytics switchover. Yes, I am recording this video on Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, and on July 1st, which is a Saturday, thanks Google, they are going to switch over from Universal or old analytics to new analytics, which is GA4. Hi, I am Meg Clark from Clapping Dog Media, and I'm going to walk you through everything you can expect and what you must do in order to make this transition from old analytics to new analytics as smooth as possible. All right, let's just kind of start from the beginning, and I'll give you a quick overview of what in the heck is going on if you haven't heard about it yet. So from the beginning of time, at least 5 to 6 years, Google has had their analytics has been called Universal Analytics, UA, and they've done some updates from time to time, but they've always just updated the version that you had. A couple of years ago, Google announced that they've released a brand new version of analytics that is completely new. They look at data differently. They measure users and events differently. They just it's a whole different perspective, if you will. And that it was going to go live on July 1st, 2023. So we've been talking about this for a while, but it has come upon us. Now, what we know is that Google is going to stop collecting data on Universal Analytics on Saturday. They have claimed, and this is new, that they will allow you to access your Universal Analytics for a complete year, not just the 3 months that they initially said, but for a whole year. So on July 1st, 2024, that data will be gone. Honestly, there's not a super easy, clean way to get the data out of Universal Analytics, but we will talk about that in another video. The thing that's really interesting is that Google is claiming, regardless if you have already set up GA4 or not, if you have not completed the setup and opted out, that Google is going to overwrite your GA4 setup on your account on Saturday, July 1st. So in other words, if you have already set up the account but haven't completed the nuance of the setup, Google is going to overwrite your Google Analytics. We don't really know what this means in terms of will you lose data? Will you change the settings? But regardless, I want to walk you through a couple of things that you must do before Saturday in order to ensure that this transition process goes as smooth as possible. If you have set up GA4, there are a couple of things that we need to do to complete the setup. If you have not installed GA4 yet, then just let Google install it on Saturday. Just take their settings and then we can make changes as needed. Alrighty, so here we are. We are in the GA4 setup. I've gotten to this screen by going to google.com/analytics. Then I clicked on the admin button and setup assistant. The first thing that we need to do is to tell Google that we don't want them to copy over new settings or reinstall GA4 onto our account. And the way we're going to opt out of this is by opening the UA or the connected property for our GA4 account. So if you log into GA4, you should get this open connected property account. Here we go. And here's this horrible doomsday clock counting down to Saturday. So we're just going to hit no thanks. And what we want to do is on this screen, where it says automatically set up basics GA4 property, make sure that's toggled to the left or to gray. And so we don't want Google to copy that over. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay, cool. Number one. Now, the second thing we need to do is go through and complete our setup. Now, we have already done this for our account, but if you have not done it, you should probably get this thing in the header that's a big red button that says complete setup. And this is all this means is we need to work through this setup. And my default is just to go ahead and check everything. We can always come back later and change it if we need to in the future. So on this screen, on the Setup Assistant, what we need to do is go over here to all of these little arrows and make sure that they are marked as complete. And you just go to each one of those. If you don't have any of them selected at first, it's going to count down. It's going to count up from 0 to 7 that they are marked complete. Once you go through all of these checks, you can click the red button at the top that says Complete Setup. So that's the second thing that you need to do in order to get ready for the GA4 switchover that's coming on Saturday, July the 1st. Now, the final thing we need to do is kind of new. We never needed to do this in Universal Analytics. And frankly, it's annoying. But what we need to do is tell Google Analytics to store our event data for the maximum length of time. And we do that by, or admin, down here under data retention, click on this. Now, the default is 2 months, but I would recommend that you set it to 14 months, which is the maximum amount of time that it will keep your event data. In Universal Analytics, it automatically kept it for 2 years, but we don't have that option now. So again, the default is 2 months, but I would suggest that you keep it for 14 months. Do that, hit save. And those are the 3 things that you need to do to make sure this transition to GA4 goes as smooth as possible. And before we go, if you haven't gone to Clapping Dog Media/audit, go there now and get your own version of this. A super handy, very helpful audit that gives you grades for how findable your website is. It tells you what you should work on first by priorities, what you need to work on, and it gives you some really clear action steps to make your site more findable. So go on over to Clapping Dog Media/audit.